The Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
Sa mga aral sa mundo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkub, tangkub time.
Good afternoon, constellation of stars, especially to our senior high school learners who are with us in our FB Live. Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. We are still live in the Pedaya Tangub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel.
I am Ma'am Shermay S. Epong from Tangub City National High School.
And I am Siti Badria Dato Dakula, also from Tangub City National High School.
And we are your teacher facilitators today. May hapon, Ma'am Bads.
Yes, Assalamualaikum. Peace be upon you, Ma'am Sherry. Good afternoon.
Today is March 22, 2022. We will be discussing two subjects this afternoon. The first subject is
Discipline and Ideas in Applied Social Sciences.
and the second subject is community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship.
For Discipline and Ideas and Applied Social Sciences, Week 7 competencies are identify the goals and scope of communication, explain the principles of communications, and describe the elements and levels of communication process.
Okay, so thank you, Ma'am Bads. No, so for this afternoon, learners, we will be talking about communication. No, all about communication. So, learners, please prepare your self-learning materials because after this, we will have a discussion to deepen your understanding about the subject matter. So, we will be right back after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Gali naman science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali naman science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta.
And we are back still in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, Ma'am She. So, let us first know what is communication. So, basically, when we say communication, it is a two-way process, an exchange of thoughts, feelings, or ideas. All right?
Yes, Ma'am Bads. No? So actually, if you are to look into, one of the earliest definition of communication process was put forward by the communications scholar Harold Laswell. According to him, communication occurs when there's a source that sends a message through a channel or a medium to a receiver that produce some effect. So this definition is conveniently abbreviated as source to message to channel to receiver and effect.
Yes, Ma'am Sherry. So, there are also four main goals of communication. This is to inform. So, it is providing information for use in decision making, but aren't necessarily advocating a course of an action. So, another one is to request. So, to request is ask for a specific action by the receiver. And to persuade, the reinforce or change in the receiver belief about a topic and possibly act on the belief. Okay, so we have also here to build relationships. So some messages you send may have the simple goal or building goodwill between you and the receiver.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So those are the goals, no? So to better understand communication, also we have to know what are the principles, no? What are the principles of communication. So when we talk about effective communication, the foremost thing that comes in mind is the principles of effective communication. So these principles guide informing message, its style, and importance so that it becomes more effective for the target audience. No? So these principles are called the 7 C's no, of communication. Kay nag-start man gud siyag letter C. No?
Yes.
So the 7 C's of communications are, we have conciseness, we also have coherent, courtesy, correctness, clarity, completeness, and concreteness. So those are the 7 C's or gitawag nato siyang principles of communication.
Okay, so let's proceed to the transmission models of communication processes. So the early definition of communication regard it as a process by which message move or transmitted from one point to another. So this definition fall under the so-called transmission model of communication and contain all or most of the following elements. So the first element is sender or source. So when I say sender or source, it talks about person, groups, or institutions that create or produce a message, also referred to a encoder. Another term for the sender or source is, we call this as encoder. Okay, we have also message. Okay, the ideas of meanings expressed in verbal or non-verbal means that is transmitted from the source to the receiver. So we have the verbal messages use words to convey meaning. When I say verbal messages, it convey a meaning. So
Yes.
non-verbal messages, it express meaning through codes such as facial expressions, color, distance, space, or touch, pitch, or loudness of sound. So that is the non-verbal messages.
Okay, so aside from that, ma'am, no, when it comes to communication, naagigitawag na tong channel. Okay? So channel is actually the medium. So example is radio. They use to transmit the message. So aside from channel, we also have the receiver. So the person, group, or institution to whom the message is intended. Gitawag po ni nato siyag decoder. Okay? Kung ang message kaniha or ang sender is termed as encoder, ang receiver is the decoder.
Yes.
So encoding and decoding, encoding refers to the way communication source creates the message into a form that can be understood by the receiver. So aside from that, we also have the term noise. Okay? So this is actually the interference that prevents a message from being accurately understood or interpreted. So that is the noise.
Okay, we also have context. So context is the situation in which the communication takes place and may include socio-cultural factors, the status and rules of the communications, rules and the like. So aside from that, we have feedback. Okay, so feedback is the response or reaction of the receiver to the message received. Okay, so effect, it refers to the consequence or result or lack of result for that matter of communicative act. Okay,
So we also have the 5 main functions, no? So these 5 main functions are usually attributed to communication, ma'am, in society. So what are these 5 main functions of communication? First is the function of surveillance. So this function refers to the news and information role of communication media, no, such as in the news media, wherein makakuha tag information from that communication channel. Okay? And then we also have interpretation. So interpretation function refers to the analysis, no? Analysis, commentary, context, and other meanings which are found in a message. So this function actually relates to persuasion or the influence of attitudes or opinion.
Okay, so another functions of communications is we have the socialization. So socialization, it refers to the transmission of values and culture within a society, and also to the education of the function of communication and the media. Okay, so entertainment. So entertainment is another function of communications. It refers to the functions and related to relaxation, reward, diversion, and reduction of tension. So lastly, mobilization. So it refers to the communication and media's ability to generate public action about a social issue, for instance, relief efforts after the disasters.
Okay, so mauto ang atong goals, ma'am, no, about communication.
Yes.
Goals, we have the principles
We also have
and
the
the functions of
Communications.
communication. So karon siguro ang atong mga students ready na sila, no, to answer the activity intended for this week. So learners, please turn your self-learning material sa activity nga portion. So in your activity, you have there, record the communication activities that you have engaged in from the time you woke up. Okay? Using the data table below, list down these communication activities and classify each according to the level of communication and its specific communication function. Analyze the result of your data table and write a reflection paper about this activity. So sa inyong table, makita ninyo dira the time, no, the communication activity, the level of communication, the function of communication. And then napay space sa inyo ang SLM na dito gibutang pwede ninyo isulat ang reflection.
Okay.
Okay?
So more discussions when we return.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School. And we are back still in Astral Academy Cyber School. We are still live in DepEd tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel. Yes, ma'am, no? So, again, welcome learners to our 7th week of this semester in community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship. So, for this week's competency is recognize the importance of solidarity with other people, with the society, and with the environment. In most parts of the country and in the whole world, no, there is an indication of social injustice, indication of inequality, poverty, and there is an increasing social disintegration and environmental degradation. So in this kind of circumstance, the voiceless and less in income suffer the most. So this situation calls for acts of solidarity, particularly with the affected sector of the society. The poor, farmers, fisher folks, informal settlers, indigenous people, laborers, and the physically disadvantaged people. So mao ni ang nanginahanglan nga kinahanglan ma-practice nato ang solidarity in the community. But before we go further, stay tuned learners. We will continue our discussion after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
We are still live in DepEd tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel. Okay, ma'am. So, since our learners know our target competency, so learners, no, at the end of the discussion, you are expected, of course, to recognize the importance of solidarity in promoting national and global development. So let us start by defining community development, Ma'am Bud. So, unsa gyud ay ang community development?
Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, community development. It is a process by where community members come together to take collective action and generate solutions to common problems. At its heart, community development is anchored from the belief that the community members have the right to have access to health, well-being, riches, justice, and opportunities. So, that is the community development.
Yes.
So, all people should have the access of the health, of course, justice, and opportunities.
Yes.
So, after the community development, we need also to define what is solidarity, since it is related to each other.
Yes.
Okay, what is solidarity, Ma'am Sherry?
Okay, so, yes, ma'am. Now, once again, when we talk about solidarity, we're actually referring to one and united action as a group or as a community or even as a nation. So for this week, of course, we shall be discussing the importance of solidarity in global as well as national community development. Nga imong gi-define kaganiha,
Yes.
ma'am. Because we are tying up solidarity with global and national community development. Then we start our discussion on what global and national communities are. So let us take a look at the two images, no, nga naa sa inyong screen. So what is the first image, ma'am?
Okay, so in your screen, you can see the first image. Okay, so it may look familiar because of its shape. And yes, it does it does look like the flag of the Philippines. So of course, all our learners are familiar with that
Yes.
image. And because of this description, we could deduce that it depicts a national community by nature, and it has a reference to the aggregations and connectedness of people who share the same psychological orientations as manifested in the cultural orientation and talk about the same historical accounts. So national community is a local community which entails a local scenarios and situations which became the concern of the national or local folks, especially to the officials therein. A national community is concerned with anything which falls within territory.
Yes.
Okay.
If we are to cite an example, ma'am, no, in the macro perspective, the Filipino nation comprises a national community. Why? It is because we Filipinos belong to one cultural heritage, no? And from the micro perspective also, we could cite that our own communities, our barangays or municipalities also, can be an example of a national or belongs to national community.
Okay, so learners, we also have the second image. Okay, as you can see on the screen. So actually, it looks like the shape of the world map. Okay, so logically, it then depicts a global community as shown in the image. The global community has reference to the people or nation of the world. Okay, so it's considered as being closely connected by modern telecommunications as being economically, socially, politically independent. So those are the depicts of the image shown in the screen. So
Yes.
how about the development in the national and global communities, Ma'am Sherry?
Generally speaking, ma'am, no, community development is said to have occurred when community folks toiled through a collective action. No? So people have been empowered and a social change has taken place. So it is strive for and accomplished solidarity amongst the people in view in the implementation of a community action.
Okay, so now let us give a qualitative descriptions of development along the levels of national and global communities. So first, there could be the development in the national community when all the inhabitants in a given territory endeavor as one people with their gaze directed towards one goal and one united actions. So the program in sight is now sporadic, rather focus on one action plan at a time. So an example of this is the national community development are manifested in the health programs like family planning. Yes. Family planning, women's empowerment activities like the implementation of the food preservation seminar workshop,
Yes.
cottage industry, seminar workshop on men and women or the out of school youth
Yes.
programs in the community. So community development is implemented and financed by the government or in the partnership with the locally based non-governmental organizations, charities or foundations, local corporations or funding institutions. So it cannot be realized if the local government if the local government will not support
Yes.
that kinds of programs.
Together with NGOs also.
Yes,
ma'am.
NGOs.
Okay, so that is for the national community development. Okay, so on the other hand also, ma'am, when we speak of global community development, it could be manifested in capacity building programs of local organizations, partner local governments, and communities to be economically, socially, and environmentally independent or self-sustaining. So such a program is implemented and sustained by transnational or global community councils or international charities or foundations, international cooperations, or internationally based non-governmental organizations. So naay support gikan ani nga mga organizations,
Yes.
ma'am, with the likes of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Open Society Foundation, Ford Foundation, and others.
Okay.
So that's the qualitative descriptions of the national and global development. So let's proceed to the indicators. So indicators of the importance of solidarity in national and global community development. Unsa man ka-importante ang solidarity para ma-achieve nato ang gitawag na development, ma'am?
Okay, so for the attainment of the national and global community development, solidarity is necessary requisite to the requisite to this end. The following, then they are the indicators which purpose of the importance of solidarity, national or local community developments. Okay, so solidarity is the building block of movements which embody the members' mutual care and concern for justice. So, with solidarity and view the participants of the members of the community, first and foremost, manifest a respect and understanding of whatever differences in terms of needs and living conditions which may exist between and amongst them. Okay.
Okay. So thus, when people also stand in solidarity with others, ma'am, no? So, na may gitawag na tong justice, no?
Yes.
This is a clear indication that each one is geared towards care and concern of others, the other's actual life and condition. So as Aristotle once wrote, no man could exist humanly
Yes.
now simply to survive, no? And taking a line from a song, no man is an island, no man stands alone, which shows that man exists not only by himself, but with the need of other people's care and concern as well. So that is the first indicator of solidarity. So the second is solidarity capacitates the community members to take into the responsibilities and roles in the light of collective interest.
Okay, so the second is for community development to occur, it is incumbent in the people to take upon themselves the duties and responsibilities not for personal satisfactions, but in the interest of the community as a whole. So in the performance of the roles, they must always think of the welfare and benefit of the community in general. So they should put first the welfare of the people, ika nga nila, and the welfare of the community
Yes.
as a whole.
Yes. Okay, so that's the second indicator of the importance of solidarity. So the third is solidarity allows the people to overcome adversities. No? So solidarity is a very important ingredient in community development because such would not be attained when the people are not one in facing situations.
Yes.
Kung dili magkahiusa,
Isa,
ma'am,
yes.
no? Or problems that would probably beleaguer, no, the community. So the people are duty bound to support each other and not to let each other down. So
Yes.
kinahanglan yun na to ang usag-usa, no? It is not a matter of becoming self-oriented in terms of dealing with difficulties, but still a matter of concerted endeavor. So in the long run, adversities are more conveniently dealt with when group effort is exerted. Despite sa problema, ma'am, once naagali ta sa usa ka grupo,
We are
we are
united
united as
as one, yes.
one. So
We work as one.
malampasan yun
Yes.
siya, no? Eventually, when adversities are overcome, most likely the community is on the road towards development.
Okay, so the fourth indicator in solidarity is it strengthens the band and unites the people to act in a collective manner. So when people are united for a common cause, the stronger the binding becomes, the more they stick out and with each other. So for instance, is when the community folks clamor for a water system, particularly in the more remote areas, strong support for each other manifest a close bonding or a close community ties. So we know dissension surfaces. This is indicative already of a strong ties between amongst them. So of course, helping each other, collaboration with each other, that is the more important to achieve the common goals in the society or in the community as a
Which
whole.
is community development.
Community development.
Yes. So the last indicator, no, is solidarity initiates and sustains any collective effort. So a collective effort anchors from the solidarity of the people in a community. And because of solidarity loses its grasp on the people, that would be the start of the decadence of collective endeavor. And the community would probably be back, no, to individuals as members and no longer individuals as a cooperating and collaborating participants.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, those are the 5 indicators of the importance of solidarity. So, in national and global community development, let us find out the nourish every word that we impart to our learners. So, learners, let us have the activity 7 of this subject.
Yes. So for activity, no? So for your activity learners, no, for this week, you are going to make an essay, no? So read and understand the adages, and in 5 sentences for each number, explain the adage according to your own understanding and relate it to the indicators of the importance of solidarity to community development. Katong atong gidiscuss kaganiha, ma'am.
Yes.
So what are these adages? So first, there is no stability without and no solidarity without stability. Second, the reason why the world lacks unity and lies broken and in heaps is because man is disunited with himself. And the third is one for all and all for one.
Okay. To the senior high school learners, please check the second attendance marker on the top of your screen.
Okay.
Nasa
Sa screen. Ang
Screen
second,
ang
attendance
marker.
marker. Okay, so SHS Stars, we hope that the lesson we imparted to you this afternoon will be of great help, no? Especially in attaining solidarity and in understanding solidarity, no, to community development.
Okay, Tanggub Stars, if you have any questions or comments about the topics, please write it down below. So this has been your Mom City Badria Datodakula from Tanggub City National High School.
And I'm your Mom Shermay S. Epong Steele from Tanggub City National High School. Keep safe, everyone. See you
See you
next
next
week.
week.
Bye-bye.
The Department of Education, Division of Tanggub City, in partnership with the local government unit of the group, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
Tayo, tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub
Good afternoon, constellation of stars.
Especially to our senior high school learners who are with us in our FB Live.
Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. We are still live in the Pedaya Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel.
I am Ma'am Shermay S. Epong from Tanggub City National High School.
And I am Siti Badria Dato Dakula, also from Tanggub City National High School.
And we are your teacher facilitators today. May hapon, Ma'am Bads?
Yes, Assalamualaikum. Peace be upon you, Ma'am Sherry. Good afternoon.
Today is March 22, 2022. We will be discussing two subjects this afternoon. The first subject is
Discipline and Ideas in Applied Social Sciences.
And the second subject is community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship.
For Discipline and Ideas and Applied Social Sciences, Week 7 competencies are identify the goals and scope of communication, explain the principles of communications, and describe the elements and levels of communication process.
Okay, so thank you, Ma'am Bads. No? So for this afternoon, learners, we will be talking about communication. No? All about communication. So learners, please prepare your self-learning materials because after this, we will have a discussion to deepen your understanding about the subject matter. So we will be right back after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Welcome back mga grade 7 Mathenics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangko. We learn all things, ang saya. Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. In our previous episode, we derived relationships of adjacent angles, linear pairs, parallel lines, and perpendicular lines. This time, learners, stay tuned and get prepared, for we will continue deriving the relationship between angles. But this time, it would be the relationship among angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. Before identifying the relationships among angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal, let us know first the kinds of angles formed when parallel lines cut by a transversal. From the given figure, line MN and line RS are parallel lines. The line XY cuts line MN and line RS at distinct points. Line XY is what we call a transversal. Now, the following are the kinds of angles formed when parallel lines cut by a transversal. First, we have interior angles. When we say interior angles, these are angles formed between the two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Note, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then there are four interior angles formed. Now, in the given figure, the interior angles are angle 5, angle 6, angle 3, and angle 4. Next, we have exterior angles.
Exterior angles are angles formed outside the two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Note, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then there are four exterior angles formed. In the given figure, the exterior angles are angle 8, angle 7, angle 1, and angle 2.
Do you know that the interior and the exterior angles can be paired? Such pairs of angles are called alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding angles, interior angles on the same side of the transversal, and exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. These pairs are related to each other. Now, let us discuss such relations. Alternate interior angles. Two interior angles which are not adjacent and on the opposite side of the transversal. Note that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then there are two pairs of alternate interior angles formed. Using this figure, line MN is parallel to line RS, cut by a transversal XY. In this case, the pair of alternate interior angles are angle 6 and angle 3, and angle 5 and angle 4. Alternate exterior angles. Two exterior angles which are not adjacent and on the opposite side of the transversal. Note that there are two pairs of alternate exterior angles formed. On this figure, the pairs of alternate exterior angles are angle 7 and angle 1, and angle 8 and angle 2. Corresponding angles. Pair of interior and exterior angles which are not adjacent and on the same side of the transversal. Note that there are four pairs of corresponding angles formed. On this same figure, the pairs of corresponding angles are angle 8 and angle 3, angle 7 and angle 4, angle 5 and angle 1, and angle 6 and angle 2. Interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Pair of consecutive interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Note that there are two pairs of interior angles on the same side of the transversal formed. On the same figure, the pair of interior angles on the same side of the transversal are angle 5 and angle 3, angle 6 and angle 4. Exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. Pair of consecutive exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. Note that there are two pairs of exterior angles on the same side of the transversal formed. On the same figure, the pairs of exterior angles on the same side of the transversal are angle 8 and angle 1, and angle 7 and angle 2. Do you get it? Good. Now, since you already learned the pair of angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal, then you are ready for our main lesson. Let's start with corresponding angles and their relationship. Corresponding angles and their relationships. In the figure, line MN parallel to line XY cut by a transversal line PR. Again, when we say corresponding angles, these are pairs of interior angles and exterior angles, which are not adjacent and on the same side of the transversal. Now, based on the given figure, angle 1 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. Suppose the measure of angle 1 is equal to 120 degrees, then the measure of angle 6 is equal to 120 degrees. We say angle 1 is congruent to angle 6. Next, angle 2 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Now suppose the measure of angle 2 is equal to 60 degrees, then the measure of angle 5 is also equal to 60 degrees. We say
that angle 2 is congruent to angle 5. Therefore, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then corresponding angles are congruent. Example, based on the same figure, if the measure of angle 3 is equal to 130 degrees, what is the measure of angle 7? Very good. The measure of angle 7 is also equal to 130 degrees. Since angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding angles, then they are congruent.
Now, let us have alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles and their relationships. Given this figure, MN is parallel to line XY, cut by transversal line PR. By the given figure, angle 6 is congruent to angle 1 because they are corresponding angles. Another is angle 1 is congruent to angle 3 because they are vertical angles. Now since angle 6 is congruent to angle 1 and angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, by substituting angle 1 with angle 3, we have angle 6 is also congruent to angle 3. Angle 6 and angle 3 are called alternate interior angles. Therefore, alternate interior angles are congruent. Another is angle 1 is congruent to angle 6 because they are corresponding angles. Angle 6 is also congruent to angle 7 because they are vertical angles. Now since angle 1 is congruent to angle 6 and angle 6 is congruent to angle 7, by substituting angle 6 with angle 7, we could say that angle 1 is also congruent to angle 7. Angle 1 and angle 7 are called alternate exterior angles. Therefore, alternate exterior angles are congruent. Hence, if two or more parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles are congruent. Now, let us have examples. On the given figure, MN is parallel to XY, cut by transversal line PR. Find the measure of the following. First, if measure of angle 4 is equal to 80 degrees, what is the measure of angle 5? Very good. The measure of angle 5 is equal to 80 degrees. The reason? Since angle 4 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles, then they are congruent. Now, if the measure of angle 8 is equal to 55 degrees, what is the measure of angle 2? You are right. Measure of angle 2 is also equal to 55 degrees. The reason is, since angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles, then they are congruent.
Next, we have interior angles and exterior angles on the same side of the transversal and their relationships. From the figure, line MN and line KN are parallel lines cut by a transversal RS. Angle 6 and angle 2 are supplementary because they are linear pairs. Angle 6 is congruent to angle 3 because they are alternate interior angles. Since angle 6 and angle 2 are supplementary and angle 6 is congruent to angle 3, now by substituting angle 6 with angle 3, so angle 3 and angle 2 are supplementary. Angle 3 and angle 2 are called interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Therefore, interior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. Another, angle 1 and angle 5 are supplementary because they are linear pairs. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 4 because they are alternate exterior angles. Now, since angle 1 and angle 5 are supplementary and angle 5 is congruent to angle 4? Now by substituting angle 5 with angle 4, so angle 1 and angle 4 are supplementary. Angle 1 and angle 4 are called exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. Therefore, exterior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. Thus, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then pair of interior angles and a pair of exterior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. Examples. Using the same figure, find the measure of the following. If the measure of angle 6 is equal to 120 degrees, what is the measure of angle 7? Very good. The measure of angle 7 is equal to 60 degrees. Since angle 6 and angle 7 are interior angles on the same side of the transversal, then they are supplementary. Next, if the measure of angle 5 is equal to 75 degrees, what is the measure of angle 8? Right, the measure of angle 8 is equal to 105 degrees. Since angle 5 and angle 8 are exterior angles on the same side of the transversal, then they are supplementary. Complicated? No! Now, since we are done deriving the relationships of angles formed by parallel lines cut by transversal, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities. Let us read the directions.
Activity A. Identify me. Identify the kinds or pairs of angles based on the given figure. Write your answers on the second column. Activity B. Find my measure. Based on the given figure, find the measure of the following angles. Refer your answers to the measures of the two angles that are given.
Take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that the essence of mathematics is not to make simple things complicated,
but to make complicated things simple.
Grade 8 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 8 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone!
Welcome back mga grade 8 mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
Hooray! Now, let us begin. Last episode, we have learned to apply the triangle congruence in constructing perpendicular lines.
This time, learners, we will learn another lesson about triangle congruence. And this is all about applying triangle congruence to construct angle bisector. But first, let us define angle bisector. Angle bisector is a line that splits an angle into two equal angles. Bisect means to divide into two equal parts. In this case, considering this figure, the distance from a point to a line is the length of the perpendicular segment from the point to the line. Ray AD is the bisector of angle CAB. Now, if you measure the lengths of the perpendicular segments from D to the two sides of the angle, you will find that the lengths are equal. So, D or point D is equidistant from the sides.
Now, here are the theorems for angle bisector. Angle bisector theorem. If a point is on the bisector of an angle, then it is equidistant from the sides of the angle. On this figure, point P is the equidistant from sides XY and side ZY. YP is the angle bisector of angle XYZ. Thus, XP is congruent to ZP. Converse of the angle bisector theorem. If a point in the interior of an angle is equidistant from the sides of the angle, then it is on the bisector of the angle. Example, on this figure, XP is equal to ZP. Thus, angle XYP is congruent to angle PYZ. And YP is the angle bisector of angle XYZ. Do you get it? Good. Now, let us have examples.
Now, given this figure, find the measure of angle XYP if the measure of angle XYZ is 54 degrees. By angle bisector theorem, XP is equal to ZP. Then, segment PX is perpendicular to segment YX. And segment PZ is perpendicular to segment YZ. PY bisects angle XYZ. So, the measure of angle XYP is equal to 1/2 the measure of angle XYZ. Now, since the measure of angle XYZ is equal to 54 degrees, substituting its value, we now have the measure of angle XYP is equal to 1/2 of 54, or 1/2 times 54. 1/2 times 54 is equal to 54 over 2. 54 over 2 or 54 divided by 2 is equal to 27. Therefore, the measure of angle XYP is equal to 27 degrees.
Another example. Find the measure of angle MYN. Now, by the converse of the angle bisector theorem, we can have angle MYN is equal to angle MYP plus angle NYP. By the theorem, we could say that angle MYP is equal to the angle of NYP. Since the given measure of angle MYP is equal to 26 degrees, then angle NYP is also equal to 26 degrees. Now, substituting the given values, we now have angle MYN is equal to 26 degrees plus 26 degrees. 26 plus 26 is equal to 52. Therefore, angle MYN is equal to 52 degrees. Complicated?
No! Now, since you have learned already the angle bisector theorem and its converse, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities.
Let us read the directions. Activity A. Fill me. Fill in the blanks with appropriate answer. Item 1 serves as your guide. Activity B. Given the diagram below, answer the following questions.
Just take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher
printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. So, education must continue. Grade 9 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 9 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Welcome back mga grade 9 Mathenics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangkub. We learn all things ang saya. Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. In our previous episode, you have learned the properties and theorems on parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. This time, learners, stay tuned and get prepared for our lesson today involves the properties and theorems of parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. This is all about solving problems involving parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. Let's start solving problems involving parallelograms. In our previous episode, we already solved problems involving parallelograms using its properties. This time, using the properties of the diagonals of special parallelograms. A diagonal of a quadrilateral is a segment which connects any two non-consecutive vertices. In this quadrilateral, AC and BD are the diagonals. The following are the properties of the diagonals of special parallelograms. We have rectangle, rhombus, and square. First, the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Second, the diagonals of a square are congruent. Third, the diagonals of a square are perpendicular. Fourth, each diagonal of a square bisects a pair of opposite angles. Fifth, the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. Lastly, each diagonal of a rhombus bisects a pair of opposite angles. Now, let's solve this given problem. This figure is a rectangle. If the diagonal LV is equal to 2x, the diagonal OE is equal to 12 cm, find the value of x. We know that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Hence, segment LV is congruent to segment OE. Then, segment LV is equal to segment OE, since congruent segments have equal lengths. Next, substitute 2x for LV and 12 for OE. We now have 2x is equal to 12. Next, to solve for x, we apply MPE or multiplication property of equality. We multiply both sides by 1/2. We now have 1/2 times 2x is equal to 12 times 1/2. Simplify. 1/2 times 2x is equal to x. 12 times 1/2 is equal to 6. we now have x is equal to 6. Therefore, the value of x is equal to 6 centimeters. Easy, right? Now, let us proceed to solving problems involving trapezoids. But first, let us have a short review about trapezoid. Trapezoids. A trapezoid is a convex quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. The bases of a trapezoid are the two parallel sides. The legs of a trapezoid are the two non-parallel sides. An isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid with congruent legs. The median of a trapezoid is the segment that joins the midpoints of the legs. An altitude of a trapezoid is any segment from a point on one base perpendicular to the line containing the other base. Last episode, we already proved the different theorems of a trapezoids. Now, let us apply these theorems in solving problems involving trapezoids. Theorem 6. The median of a trapezoid is parallel to each base and its length is 1/2 the sum of the lengths of the bases. Theorem 7. The base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. Theorem 8. Opposite angles of an isosceles trapezoid are supplementary. Theorem 9. The diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. Now, let us have an example. ABCD is a trapezoid with median EF. If DC is equal to x plus 5, EF is equal to 2x plus 1, and AB is equal to 4x minus 10, find EF. First, let us have the formula. Applying Theorem 6, that the median of a trapezoid is parallel to each base and its length is 1/2 the sum of the lengths of the bases. So in this figure, we can have EF is equal to 1/2 the sum of AB and DC. Now, let us substitute the given values of EF, AB, and DC into the formula. Then solve for x. EF is equal to 2x plus 1. AB is equal to 4x minus 10. And DC is equal to x plus 5. So we now have 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 of 4x minus 10 plus x plus 5. Now getting the sum of AB and DC, we now combine like terms. 4x plus x is equal to 5x. Negative 10 plus 5 is equal to negative 5. So we now have 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 of 5x minus 5. Applying the MPE or the multiplication property of equality, we now multiply both sides of the equation by 2. So we now have 2 times 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 times 5x minus 5 times 2. Simplifying, we now have 2 multiplied by 2x plus 1 is equal to 4x plus 2. 1/2 times 5x minus 5 multiplied by 2 is equal to 5x minus 5. So we now have 4x plus 2 is equal to 5x minus 5. To simplify, let us apply the subtraction property of equality. We now subtract both sides of the equation by negative 5x. So we now have 4x plus 2 minus 5x is equal to 5x minus 5 minus 5x. Combining like terms, 4x minus 5x is equal to negative x. 5x minus 5x is equal to 0. So we now have negative x plus 2 is equal to negative 5. Now to solve for x, another subtraction property of equality be applied. We now subtract both sides of the equation by negative 2. So we now have negative x plus 2 minus 2 is equal to negative 5 minus 2. Combining like terms,
2 minus 2 is equal to 0. Negative 5 minus 2 is equal to negative 7. So we now have negative x is equal to negative 7. Making the variable x positive, we now use multiplication property of equality. We multiply both sides of the equation by negative 1. Negative times negative is equal to positive. So therefore, we now have x is equal to positive 7. Now to solve for the value of EF, we now substitute the value of x, which is 7, to the expression. EF is equal to 2x plus 1. Substituting, we now have EF is equal to 2 times 7 plus 1. 2 times 7 is equal to 14. So we now have EF is equal to 14 plus 1. 14 plus 1 is equal to 15. Therefore, the length of EF is equal to 15. We have just applied the different properties and theorems concerning trapezoids.
Now let's proceed to solving problems involving kites. A kite is defined as quadrilateral with two pairs of adjacent and congruent sides. Note that a rhombus where all adjacent sides are equal is a special kind of kite. There are two theorems related to kite as follows. Theorem 10. In a kite, the perpendicular bisector of at least one diagonal is the other diagonal. Theorem 11. The area of a kite is half the product of the lengths of its diagonals. Now let us apply these theorems in solving problems. The diagonals of a kite have lengths of 13 centimeters and 9 centimeters. Find the area of the kite. Solution. Applying Theorem 11, the area of a kite is half the product of the lengths of its diagonals. Therefore, the area is 1/2 times 13 times 9. 1/2 times 13 times 9 is equal to 58.5. Therefore, the area of the kite is 58.5 square centimeters.
Complicated?
No! Now, since you already learned how to solve problems involving parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity.
Let us read the directions. Find my measure. Answer the following problems below. Show your solutions.
Just take your time in answering the activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that the only way to learn mathematics
Is to do mathematics.
Grade 10 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 10 is coming next.
Good luck and God bless everyone! back mga grade 10 Mathenics! Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nagisang programa nyo, ang Tangkub! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Last episode, we already learned permutations and combinations. We also have seen their differences. This time, learners, for you to further understand the concept, stay tuned and bear with us today, for we will learn more about the basic counting techniques of permutation and combination. As we discuss, solving problems involving permutation and combination. Again, when we say permutation, it refers to the different ways of arranging a set of objects in a sequential order. Permutation of n taken r at a time. To solve for permutation of n taken r at a time, we use the permutation formula. Now, let us have examples. 5 taken 2. If we have to solve 5 taken 2, we use the formula n taken r is equal to n factorial over the quantity of n minus r factorial. Substituting the given values, we now have 5 taken 2 is equal to 5 factorial over the quantity of 5 minus 2 factorial. 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. So we now have 5 factorial over 3 factorial. We know that 5 factorial is equal to 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 3 factorial is equal to 3 times 2 times 1. Now simplifying, we can cancel out the common for numerator and denominator. So we now have 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is equal to 20. So therefore, 5 taken 2 is equal to 20. Another example. In how many ways can 7 boys sit in a row of 5 chairs? Again, the number of permutations of 7 objects taken 5 at a time is 7 taken 5 is equal to 7 factorial over the quantity of 7 minus 5 factorial. 7 minus 5 is equal to 2, so we now have 7 factorial over 2 factorial. 7 factorial can be written as 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 2 factorial is equal to 2 times 1. Now simplifying, we can cancel out common for numerator and denominator. So we now have 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. Multiplying these, we can have the product 2,520. Therefore, 7 boys can sit in a row of 5 chairs in 2,520 ways. Next, we have permutation of n distinct objects arranged in a circle. In solving problems involving n distinct objects arranged in a circle, we use this formula. P is equal to the quantity of n minus 1 factorial. Example, 6 people are going to sit around table. How many different ways can this be done? Solution. Let n is equal to 6. Since there are 6 people going to sit around table. Applying the formula of permutation of n distinct objects arranged in a circle, we now have P is equal to the quantity of n minus 1 factorial. Now substituting the value of n, which is equal to 6, in the formula, we now have P is equal to the quantity of 6 minus 1 factorial. Simplifying, 6 minus 1 is equal to 5. We now have P is equal to 5 factorial. 5 factorial means 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is equal to 120. Therefore, there are 120 different ways can be done when 6 people are going to sit around table.
Distinguishable permutations. Distinguishable permutations are problems related to real-life situations with repeated symbols and restrictions or special conditions. So, in solving distinguishable permutations,
a need to consider duplications of elements to make arrangements distinct. To solve, we use this formula. P is equal to n factorial over p factorial times q factorial times r factorial. Let us have an example. Find the number of distinguishable permutations of the digits 120,022. First, let us identify the given. Based on the given, n here is equal to 6, since there are 6 digits. 0 repeated twice, 2 repeated thrice, and 1 once. Now, substituting the given values to our formula, p is equal to n factorial over p factorial times q factorial over r factorial, we now have 6 factorial over 2 factorial times 3 factorial times 1 factorial. We know that 6 factorial is equal to 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 2 factorial can be written as 2 times 1. 3 factorial can also be written as 3 times 2 times 1. And 1 factorial is equal to 1. So we now have 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over the quantity of 2 times 1 times the product of 3 times 2 times 1 times 1. Now simplifying, we can cancel out commons for numerator and denominator. So we now have 6 times 5 times 4 over 2 times 1 times 1. 6 times 5 times 4 is equal to 120. 2 times 1 times 1 is equal to 2. So we now have 120 over 2. 120 over 2 or 120 divided by 2 is equal to 60. Therefore, p here is equal to 60. Therefore, the number of distinguishable permutations of the digit 120,022 is equal to 60 ways.
Do you get it? Good! Now, let's proceed to combinations. Again, when we say combination, it refers to several ways of choosing items from a large set of objects, such that their order does not matter. Now, solving problems involving combination of n objects taken are, we use the formula. C is equal to n factorial over the quantity of n minus r factorial times r factorial. Example. In how many ways the teacher formed 8 members from 25 students in her section as class officers? Solution. Now, let us identify first the given. N is equal to 25, since there are 25 students in the section. R is equal to 8, since there are 8 students to be selected as class officers. Applying the formula of combination, we now have n taken r is equal to n factorial over the quantity of n minus r factorial times r factorial. Now substituting the given to the formula, we now have 25 taken 8 is equal to 25 factorial over the quantity of 25 minus 8 factorial times 8 factorial. Simplifying, 25 minus 8 is equal to 17. We now have 25 factorial over 17 factorial times 8 factorial. 25 factorial can be written as 17 factorial can be written as, and 8 factorial can be written as. Now simplifying the common for both numerator and denominator, we now have 25 times 24 times 23 times 22 times 21 times 20 times 19 times 18 over 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Simplifying this, we can get 1,081,575. Therefore, there are 1,081,575 ways if the teacher formed 8 members from 25 students as class officers. complicated? No! Now, since you already learned how to solve problems involving permutations and combinations, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities.
Let us read the directions. Activity A. Apply your skills in answering the given problems. Activity B. Evaluate the following using circular permutation. Activity C. Find the number of permutations of the following. Activity D. Evaluate the following using the combination formula.
Just take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
So, education must continue.
Good luck and God bless everyone!
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been
We share.
Ang Tangkub.
It's tangkub time. We learn all things. It's very fun, masaya. Tugtog lang.
Kung gusto mong maglingaw-lingaw, mga tawag magloling hayaw, mag-joyride na. Uba na ang imong barkada, silingan o pamilya, mag-joyride na. Sination tang palibot, mga lugar sulod sa tanggob, mag-ubanta. Silang gato makilaw, sa sanabog sa pulaw, laagon ta. Labi na yun sa huyuhoy, ugnang dapit nagkano kahoy, talana. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. Kung gusto ka og entertainment, for fun and for enjoyment, no problem ka. Sinanduloy among pambato, kung usayo smart kaayo, believe you ka. Panahon sa Disyembre, super cute ka aligre, malingaw cute ka. Fireworks display dagang ganahan, musidlak sa kalangitan, mapawagid ka. Christmas symbols, capital of the Philippines. Ninira na ninyo makita friends, diba? Diri sa tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maglibot tanggop kita. Maglibot tanggop kita. Maglibot tanggop kita. Makikiusap, makikigala. Let's get together, make life feel better.
Hello! Happy Tuesday, everyone! Welcome to
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Of course, today is Tuesday. And pag Tuesday, right, kami ang inyong makauban today. I am Miss Elvin Meva.
And of course, Ma'am Gay Soterio Saavedra. So learners, welcome sa atuang Quarter 3, Week 7 here in Astral Academy Cyber School. And again, since today is Tuesday, so it is Mathematics Day para sa tuang Grade 7 to Grade 10 learners.
That is right. So hello and welcome mga Mathenics. Alright, Ma'am Gay, di na nato dugayon. Mag-start na ta sa tatong Grade 7 lesson for this week.
Okay. So for Grade 7 Mathematics mo ni atong lesson, we are going to derive relationships among angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal using measurement and by inductive reasoning. So here, Ma'am LV, this is our figure that shows parallel lines cut by a transversal. So this figure, so kani class, niyo makita sa screen. So we have here a pair of parallel lines, MN and RS. And as you can see, these lines, MN and RS, are cut or are intersected by this line XY. So this line XY is called a transversal. When we say transversal class, it is a line that cuts or intersects two or more lines at distinct points. Okay? So again, here in our figure, it shows parallel lines cut by transversal, and our transversal here is this line, XY. Okay?
Line XY.
Yes, line XY. So, Ma'am LV, parallel lines cut by transversal, naapod siya, or makita po nato in real life, no?
Yes.
So, one of the examples of parallel lines cut by transversal in real life, kanig yung roads.
Yes.
Yes. So, examples, atong figure din as you can see, we have here two roads. So, these roads right here, they form parallel lines. And kaning isa ka road,
Street.
yes, kaning isa ka road or street, so it cuts or intersect these two roads.
yes.
So, kani pa lang a figure showing the roads. So, it shows, yes, in real life, it shows parallel lines cut by a transversal. So, dagan pa yun kay examples in real life nga ano yung concept ng parallel lines cut by a transversal. Now, let us move on to our main lesson. We're going to derive the relationships of angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay? So here, as you can see, again, this figure shows parallel lines cut by transversal, and if that happens, natay 8 ka-angles nga ma-form if a pair of parallel lines rather cut by a transversal. So we have here angle 1 to angle 8. Now, before deriving the relationships class, of course, you need to know o unsa dining klase-klase sa ka mga angles or kinds of angles, and of course, pairs of angles nga ma-forma or formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. So, first we are going to tackle the kinds of angles formed. We have the interior angles and the exterior angles. Okay? So, when we say interior angles, Ma'am LV, so may buot pasabot anang interior angles.
So, when we talk about interior angles, these are angles formed between two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so in that case,
okay, so here, so based on our figure, so kay interior angles man aton ang atong unang gi-find. So, again, it is found, or the interior angles are found in between the parallel lines. So, klaro nga naagid sila diring dapita. So, we have 4 interior angles formed. We have this angle, we have angle 3, and this angle, we have angle 4, and this angle 5, and of course, this angle 6.
From the word itself, Ma'am Gay, no?
Interior.
Sulod.
Nasa sulod. Sa parallel lines. Okay, so again, there are 4 angles formed. We have angle 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. The next kind of angles class is what we call the exterior angles. So, unsa po ni si exterior angles, Ma'am LV?
So, if interior is inside, well, exterior angles are angles formed outside two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So, basically, opposite ni si exterior.
Yes. If si interior angles makita in between sa parallel lines, exterior angles outside sa parallel lines nato. So, now we're going to use another copy. Same figure, but another copy para dili maglibog. So, again, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the interior angles. Now, let's move on to exterior. So, asa po dani sa exterior angles. So, of course, it's very obvious. We have outside the parallel lines. We have angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 8. So, 4 exterior angles gihapon ang ma-form when parallel lines cut by a transversal. Now, you know already the kinds of angles formed. We have interior and exterior angles. Now, let us proceed to the pairs of angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay? So, the first pair of angles, Ma'am LV, is what we call the that is corresponding angles, or no, the alternate interior angles. Okay, so again, our first pair is the alternate interior angles, and we say alternate interior angles, that is
two interior angles which are not adjacent and on opposite side of the transversal.
Okay, so when we say alternate interior angles, two interior angles not adjacent and on the opposite side of the transversal. So, pair of alternate interior angles. So, here in our figure, so we have how many pairs of alternate interior angles?
So, we can have two
pairs. Okay. So, first, puros interior sila. Not adjacent, and they are on the opposite side. Okay?
Not adjacent, dili tapad.
Yes, dili tapad. So, if we have angle 5 here, di ba angle 5 is interior angle. Now, mangita tag isa ka interior angle, not adjacent, opposite side pag yun of the transversal. So, dili pwede si angle 6, kay angle 5 and 6 are adjacent na. So, diri gid tani. How about angle 3? Di po pwede because they are on the same side of the transversal. So, why lain? So, angle 5 and angle 4 ang pair of alternate interior angles. Okay? So, nakita is angle 6 and angle 3. Pair of angle 6 and angle 3. Okay? So, again, we have two pairs of alternate interior angles. We have angle 5 and 4 and angle 3 and 6. Okay? So, next pair of angles formed is this one, the alternate exterior angles. What do you mean by alternate exterior angles?
Okay, so kaganina natin alternate interior. This time, let's have alternate exterior. Two exterior angles which are not adjacent and on the opposite side of the transversal.
Okay, so same, no? Ang nakalain lang is naasagawas sa exterior angles na punta focus karon. So, we'll use another copy para di maglibog. So, timanan lang ha. These pairs right here, mauni sila si alternate interior. Okay, so here. So, based on this figure, again, so same figure ni class, di maglibog. So, we have to find the alternate exterior angles. Take note, duha na sila kabok exterior, not adjacent, and on the opposite side of the transversal. So, if we have angle 8, kung pangitan na itong partner si angle 8, Ma'am LV nga, ka-alternate exterior niya, so dili pwede si angle 7 because they are adjacent. Dili po pwede si angle 1 because they are on the same side. Dapat man not on the same side or opposite side dapat. So, wailain kung dili ang mag-partner, si angle 8 o si angle 2. Again, angle 8 and angle 2 are called alternate exterior angles. Okay? So, walay laing nabilin ng mga exterior angles. So, ang nabili na lang si angle 7 o si angle 1. Okay? So, angle 7 and angle 1 are also alternate exterior angles. So, there are two pairs gihapon of alternate exterior angles nga ma-form when parallel lines cut by a transversal. Now, next pair is what we call corresponding angles. So, unsa po ni si corresponding angles?
Well, corresponding angles, pair of interior and exterior angles which are not adjacent and on the same side of the transversal.
Okay, so now, mangita tag pair of interior and exterior. Not adjacent, but they are on the same side of the transversal. So, isa interior, isa exterior. Now, how about angle 8? So, exterior. So, ang isa interior, para matawag na ito sila corresponding. So, mangita taning upat, no? Exterior naman si 8, so interior itong pangitaon.
It's either 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, but not adjacent. So, di tapad, and they must be on the same side of the transversal. So, itong pilihan class, si angle 5 ra og si angle 3 because 8, 5, and 3 are on the same side of the transversal.
That is right.
Dili pwede si angle 5 because 8 and 5 are adjacent. So, wailain kung dili si angle 3.
Yes, angle 8
so,
is
angle,
paired, no?
Yes, angle 8 and angle 3 are called corresponding angles. Again, si corresponding angles, ang isa exterior, ang isa interior, not adjacent, but they are on the same side of the transversal. Okay? How many pairs of angles ang ma-form, Melby, or corresponding angles ang ma-form?
Well, basically, kung atong tanawon no kay pair of interior and exterior man, we could have 4
pairs.
Of
Yes.
angles.
Or corresponding angles specifically. So here, natay isa ka pair, we have angle 8 and angle 3. So kulangan lang tag tulo ka pair of corresponding angles. So we have also, how about angle 7? Kinsa man iyang ka partner para matawag nato sila corresponding angles. Of course, that is angle 4. Okay? One exterior, one interior on the same side of the transversal and they are not adjacent. Okay. Next, we have also, how about angle 5? Okay. How about angle 5, Ma'am LV?
Angle 5 is interior. So, we have to look for...
So, angle 5 is interior. So, dapat ang isa ni exterior. So, naara gyud ni 1 and 2. Right?
Same side.
But dapat, same side man of the transversal. So, walay lain. That is angle 1. So, angle 5 and angle 1 are also called corresponding angles.
That is right.
And then, walay laing nabilin nga pair. So, we have angle 6. So, this angle and this angle. So, ato ang isulat na ato ang mga corresponding angles. So, we have angle 8 and angle 3. Okay? Yes. Again, there are 4 pairs of corresponding angles. We have also angle 7 and angle 4. And we have also angle 5 and angle 1. And then, last but not the least, we have angle 6 and angle 2. Okay? So, these pairs, based atong figures, are called corresponding angles. Now, next pair is what we call the interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So, unsa po na siya, Ma'am LV?
So, when we talk about interior angles on the same side of the transversal, these are pair of consecutive angles on the same side of the transversal.
So sa yun ra ka, yun i-determine Ma'am LV si interior angles on the same side of the transversal. No? Kay focus naman ka sa mga interior angles. Dapat on the same side man.
Consecutive.
Yes, consecutive pag yun. So, walay lain nga pairs of interior angles on the same side of this transversal. So, we have angle 5 is paired to angle 3. Para matawag na to sila interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Di pwede si angle 5 ug 6, dili na sila on the same side.
Correct.
As well as angle 4. Okay? And another pair class is we have angle 6 and angle 4. So, klaro? Angle 5 and angle 3, then angle 6 and angle 4. The two pairs of interior angles on the same side of the transversal.
So,
okay?
dapat kabalugid sila mo tanaw asa ang transversal line, Ma'am Gay, no?
Yes, so ang transversal dapat ilahang makuandaan.
Ma-identify
Ma-identify
nila on the
daan.
same side. Oh. Parehagid sila og side right bar.
After determining kung asa ang transversal, dapat ilahapong ma-learn og asa ang interior og exterior, and the rest na din will follow.
That's
no?
right.
So kay dili sila master ng interior ug exterior, maglisod gid sila asa si corresponding and so on. Okay. So next pair of angles class is this one, the exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So exterior angles man but on the same side of the transversal. So we have this angle. We have angle 8 and angle 1. Okay? Also, angle 7 and angle 2. Again, we have angle 8 and angle 1. The first pair of exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. We have also angle 7 and angle 2. Okay? So, now learners, since na-master na ninyo ang kinds of angles and pairs of angles formed when parallel lines cut by transversal, of course, let us proceed to the relationships. Bago magiging itong main topic karon Ma'am LV, the relationships of these angles nga mga na-mention nato kaganina. No? So, unsa ka ilang relationship? Now, let us start with the corresponding angles and their relationships. Okay? So, given this figure, so lahi na po din nga figure, we have a pair of parallel lines MN and XY, and of course, they are cut by this transversal line, PR. So, 8 kabukya po ng angles nga ma-form. Okay. So, again, we are going to derive the relationship of corresponding angles. Now, class, based on this figure, angle 1 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. So, we have here angle 1 and angle 6. They're corresponding angles, one interior, one exterior on the same side of the transversal, and they are not adjacent. Now, suppose the measure of angle 1 is 120 degrees. Okay? If angle 1 kuno is 120 degrees, then we can say po that measure of angle 6 is 120 degrees. So, if angle 1 is 120 degrees, then angle 6 is 120 degrees, then what does it mean? So, that means angle 1 is equal or congruent to, or measure of angle 1 is congruent to the measure of angle 6. Okay? Again, looking at the figure, angle 1 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. Therefore, makaingon ta Ma'am LB that when parallel lines cut by transversal, then corresponding angles are always congruent. Okay, congruent means they have the same measurement. Okay? So, parihaan ug unsay measure ni angle 1, mo po yung measure ni angle 6 because they are corresponding angles. So, another, how about angle 2 and angle 5? Ug unsay measure ni angle 2 because they are corresponding angles man, angle 2 and angle 5, same rapport. They have the same measurement. Okay? So, again, the relationship of corresponding angles is that they are congruent. So, muna itimanan class ha. So, next relationship that we are going to derive is this one. The alternate interior angles and the alternate exterior angles and their relationships. Okay? So, we are going to get another copy. But, same figure. So, we have line MN and XY cut by transversal PR. Now, what do you think is the relationship of the alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles? So, deriving the relationship, we have to have a statements rather para mo come up ta sa ilahang relationship. Okay? So, our first statement would be, based on this figure, we have angle 6 is congruent to angle 1. So this angle and this angle. Because, what is the reason that angle 6 is congruent to angle 1, or angle 1 is congruent to angle 6? Because they are corresponding angles. Na-learn na ninyo kaganina that corresponding angles are congruent. Our next statement would be, pangitan nyo na itong pamaagi para ma-derive ang relationship ni alternate interior angles. Our next statement would be angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So angle 1 is congruent to this angle. So this. The reason is that because they are vertical angles. Vertical angles are always congruent. That is why angle 1 here is congruent to
And we also
angle
discussed it
3.
in the last episode, right, Ma'am Gay?
Yes, so natakol na ito si vertical angles. So, from our statements 1 and 2, we can have our statement 3 that angle 6 is congruent to angle 3. Diba? Sa atong statement number 1, angle 1 is congruent to angle 6. And number 2, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. What property is that, Ma'am Elvie? Property of equality, that if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That is transitive property of equality. So here, angle 1 is congruent to angle 6, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, then we can say that angle 6 is congruent to angle 3 by transitive property of equality. And looking at the figure class, unsa man si angle 6 o si angle 3? Angle 6 and angle 3 here, so these angles, they are alternate interior angles. So, makakome up din ta sa conclusion that alternate interior angles are always congruent. Okay? When parallel lines cut by a transversal. So, kung sa'y measure ni angle 6, mo po yung measure ni angle 3. Suppose ang measure ni angle 3 is 110 degrees. What do you think, class, is the measure of angle 6? So, the same. 110 degrees also because they are alternate interior angles. Okay? So, I hope nasabtan ang relationship ni alternate interior angles. That is?
Congruent.
Yes, they are congruent. Okay. Next, how about the alternate exterior angles? Okay, so ito ang i-derive ang relationship ni alternate exterior angles. So, to derive the relationship, class, here we can have our first statement. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 6, our first statement. That is because angle 1 is congruent to angle 6, the same, because they are corresponding angles. So, our second statement would be angle 6 is congruent to angle 7. So, 6 is congruent to angle 7, so this angle, because they are vertical angles. So, same kaganina. Yes. That by transitive property of equality, if we have angle 1 is equal to angle 6 or congruent to angle 6, then angle 6 is congruent to angle 7, then we can say that si angle 1 is congruent to angle 7. That is by transitive property of equality again. So, looking at angle 1 and angle 7 sa itong figure, so kaning angle 1 and angle 7, di ba they are alternate exterior angles? So, we come up to the conclusion that alternate exterior angles are always congruent. Okay? So, again, first na itong na-derive is corresponding angles. Second is alternate interior angles.
They're also congruent.
They're also congruent. And this one, the alternate exterior angles, they're also congruent. Okay. Next is we have the interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Okay? So here, so what do you think is the relationship of the angles or the interior angles on the same side of the transversal? So here, we can have our statement, of course, but we are going to base our statements from this figure. So in this figure, we have parallel lines LM and KN. They are cut by transversal line or transversal line RS. So our first statement would be angle 6 and angle 2. Here, angle 6 and angle 2 are supplementary. Angle 6 and angle 2, these angles are supplementary because as you can see, they form a linear pair.
Yeah.
Okay, linear pair are always supplementary. And for our next statement, we have angle 6 is congruent to angle 3. So angle 6 is congruent to angle 3. What do you think is the reason that angle 6 is congruent to angle 3?
Well, they are alternate
Interior angles. So klaro sa tong figure that angle 6 and 3 are alternate interior angles. So we can
Na-derive na nato
say,
kaganina.
yes, na-derive na nato kaganina, so they are congruent. So for statement number 3, we'll be basing sa atong statements 1 and 2. Now, if we have angle 6 is congruent to angle 3, pwede na to i-substitute sa angle 3 sa atong first statement. No? So we can have angle 3 and angle 2 that they are supplementary. Okay? Angle 3 and angle 2 are, ato ang ibutang ang words, pwede maglibog, supplementary. That is basing sa ato ang angle 1 and, statement 1 and statement number 2. Okay? So, angle 3 and angle 2. So, these angles na makita sa figure. Unsa man ni si angle 3 and angle 2. So, klaro kaayo that they are interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So, we come up to the conclusion, of course, that when parallel lines cut by transversal, interior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. Supplementary meaning they add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So, here, if the measure of angle 2 here, class, is 80 degrees, what do you think is the measure of angle 3? So, since they are supplementary, so it is 100 degrees. Because 80 plus 100 is 180. So, that is the concept of supplementary angle. So, again, interior angles on the same side of the transversal are always supplementary. Okay? So, dili na congruent. Basig na anad sila congruent tanan ang relationship. Alright. So, timan-an. So, next is, we have the relationship of the exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So, same figure gihapon, but we are going to derive the relationship. So, our first statement would be angle 1 and 5. So, this angle and this angle are
supplementary.
yes, angle 1 and angle 5 are supplementary because as you can see, they form a linear pair. So our next statement is angle 5 is congruent to angle 4. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 4. What do you think is the reason? They are alternate exterior angles. Okay? So based sa atong statements 1 and 2, we come up with this third statement that if we are going to substitute class angle 5 here with angle 4 since they are congruent, so we have angle 1 and angle 4 na dayon nga they are congruent. So our third statement would be angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Again, gi-substitute na to si angle 5 with angle 4 here because they are angle 5 and angle 4 are congruent. Okay? So angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Not congruent dai Ma'am LV because our first statement is they are supplementary man di ay. Okay? They are not congruent man di ay. So sorry. Okay, so again, our third statement would be angle 1 and angle 4 are supplementary. Alright. Okay. Now, looking at the figure class, angle 1 and angle 4, di ba they are exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So, what is our conclusion? So, exterior angles on the same side of the transversal are always supplementary. Okay? So, I hope nasabtan na ninyo class on saan pag-derive of relationships sa tuang mga angles nga na-form. We have corresponding angles, alternate interior and alternate exterior angles and on the same side of the transversal, and we have interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Okay? So, Mathematics 8 lesson will be discussed after this short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
limaunong ang mati ay sayon. Addition o multiplication, subtraction o ang division. Problema dali rasulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat limaunong ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat limaunong ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy
Academy
Cyber School.
Okay, so Ma'am Gay, human na sa itong grade 7 lesson. This time, let us have the grade 8. So, our competency for this week is apply triangle congruence to construct perpendicular lines and angle bisectors. Well, Ma'am Gay, last episode, we already learned to apply the triangle congruence in constructing perpendicular lines.
Yes.
So this time, learners, we will have another lesson, and that is the second one, applying triangle congruence to construct angle bisector. Okay, so but first, let us define first angle bisector. Well, when we say angle bisector, it is a line that splits an angle into two equal angles. Okay, so just like in our figure here. So this is the angle bisector. When we talk about bisect, that means to divide an angle into two equal parts. So in this angle, we have here angle blue. Okay, so it is bisected. Therefore, these two angles formed here are equal. Okay, mo man na yung meaning sa bisector, no?
Yes.
It bisect the angle, meaning i-divide niyang angle into two equal parts. Okay, since we already defined angle bisector, then let us now have the angle bisector theorem. Okay, so the angle bisector theorem states that if a point is on the bisector of an angle, then it is equidistant from the sides of an angle. Okay? Well, let us have to consider this illustration that we have here. So as you can see, we have here angle X, Y, Z. And here it is, this angle XYZ is bisected by a ray, no? It is a line, or a ray, I'm sorry. Well, considering the point P is on the angle bisector. Okay, so first thing, and according to angle bisector theorem, it is equidistant now from the two sides of the angle. So in this case, if we're going to connect the 2 points, points X and P, okay, perpendicular to each other, so we could have an imaginary line here. As you can see, there's a line color blue. Since it is perpendicular, we already defined that if it's perpendicular, the angle for Ma'am Gay is equal to 90 degrees, or that is a right angle. Same thing if we're going to do the same thing on our point Z, connecting point P, again perpendicular to line YZ. As you can see, we can have here another line perpendicular, so still perpendicular, therefore the angle formed here is also 90 degrees since it's perpendicular.
Yes.
So based on our figure, Ma'am Gay, we have here, the first statement that we could have is the line YP. The line YP is congruent to side or line YP. Let's use na lang the side word, Ma'am Gay, no? Since we have here, two triangles are formed. So, as you can see in our figure, na natay two triangles nga nakita. connecting the point X and point P, so with point P and point Z. We have triangle XYP and the triangle ZYP. On this case, now we already have two triangles. The first statement that we can have is the side YP is congruent to side YP. The reason is reflexive property. Any side is equal to itself side that is according to reflexive property. So we can have YP is congruent to YP. Another thing, since this is an angle bisector, then considering this angle now, what do we have angles do we have here? We have angle XYP and angle PYZ, or isulat na natin the same thing din sa to ang first triangle, no? We could have, it is congruent to angle X nagsugod, so therefore we could have ZYP. What do you think is the reason, learners? Well, since this is an angle bisector, according to the definition of angle bisector, it bisects the angle into two equal parts. So since this angle XYZ is bisected by a ray YP, then therefore we can conclude that these two angles formed here, angle XYP, is congruent to angle ZYP. Again, the reason is by the angle bisector. Now again, we already have here side YP congruent to side YP, reflexive property. The second statement that we have is the angle XYP congruent to angle ZYP, that is through angle bisector. The next thing here is, since we already have connected the point P perpendicular to line YZ and point P connected to perpendicularly to line YZ, then we could say that the two right angles here that are formed are also equal. Pasabot, this angle PXY is congruent to another angle here that is perpendicular. We have angle PZY. Angle PZY. What is the reason? Since they are connected perpendicularly, then they are both right angles. Then they are both 90 degrees. So considering these three statements here, now let us apply the triangle congruence postulates. We have here side, angle, and another angle. If you're going to review our triangle congruence that we have learned last episodes, we have the side, the angle, side, angle. Here, as you can see, what triangle congruence that we can apply? We have here two angles and one side. Well, we can use or we can apply the angle, side congruence postulate. Nga naman, in angle, side congruence postulates, once the two triangles, the two corresponding angles and a side which is not included, Ma'am Gay, no?
Yes.
Because the ASA is included angle man to si side. If it's not included angle, then we could use the AAS, angle, side congruence postulate. So in that case, since we can have the angle, side congruence postulate that we can have here, therefore, these two triangles here are also congruent. The triangle XYP is congruent to another triangle ZYP. Again, what is the reason? The angle, side congruence postulate. And since the angle, sides, since the two triangles are already congruent, then therefore we could also say that the corresponding parts of the two congruent triangles are also congruent. Pasabot, we can conclude in this case that the side XP is congruent also to side ZP. Okay, so this is how we show the angle bisector theorem. That the angle bisector theorem, that if the point is on the bisector, then it is equidistant from the two sides of an angle. Okay, since you already applied the triangle congruence postulate on constructing an angle bisector, then this time let us have an example. Okay, so here, let us have our first example. Okay, so given that measure of angle XYZ, measure of angle XYZ is equal to 54 degrees. This is 54 degrees, the angle XYZ. The question is, find the measure of angle XYP. So, this angle here is unknown. Again, we're looking for the measurement of angle XYP. Given that angle XYZ is equal to 54 degrees. Okay, so by angle bisector theorem, dili na siya lisod Ma'am Gayno to find this one because using the angle bisector theorem, we could say that since it is bisected by this line here, we could say that these two triangles here are equal. And since the given XYP is 54, pasabot that this angle here is half of the total angle. Okay, so since it is half, since it is 54, then therefore, if you're going to get the half of 54, we can have 27 degrees. So therefore, the measure of angle XYP is equal to 27 degrees. Okay, so again, the measure of angle XYP is equal to 27 degrees. Now, what do you think is the measurement of angle PYZ? Well, since these two angles here are congruent, therefore, angle PYZ is also equal to 27 degrees. So, again, that is by angle bisector theorem. Alright? Now, let us have another example. What about this example here? Okay. So, here we have another angle. Angle KLP bisected by this side LS. So, basically, there are two triangles formed here. Now, using the angle bisector theorem, we are going to find, okay, in this problem, we are going to find, let us say, the measure of angle KLS. Again, we are looking for the measurement of angle KLS. Now, given that the angle KLS is equal to 2x plus 5 degrees, and the measure of angle PLS is 4x minus 25. The question is, what is the measurement of angle KLS? So, since our given here are not exactly a number, fixed number, since it is represented by an expression, then we have to look for the value of our variable. Our variable here is x. Therefore, we have to look for the value of x. Now, using the angle bisector theorem, we could we could say, since it's bisected, angle KLS is congruent to angle PLS. Angle PLS. Now, let us substitute the given. The given value or expression of KLS is equal to 2x plus 5. So, substituting, we can have 2x plus 5 here. Since they're congruent, then that means they're equal. Now, angle PLS is also given. It is represented by an expression 4x minus 25. So, therefore, we're going to equate these two expressions, 4x minus 25. So we can have 2x plus 5 is equal to 4x minus 25. Now, our goal here is to find the value of x. So, simplifying, we're going to combine like terms. So, we can use transposition method for easier solution. Again, in transposing, do not forget to change the sign. If we're going to transpose 4x to the right side, that means we have to change the sign. It becomes negative. So with the constant 5, if we're going to transpose it to the right side, the positive 5 na here becomes negative. So let's do that. We can have 2x minus 4x because we already transposed this on the other side. Same thing, copy here, negative 25. If you're going to transpose the positive 5 to the right side, it becomes negative 5. Now let us simplify. 2x minus 4x is equal to negative 2x. It is equal to, let's simplify, negative 25 minus 5 is equal to, that's right, it's negative 30. Now our goal is to solve or isolate the x, so therefore, we can divide both sides here by negative 2 para si x na lang mabilin. So therefore, we can have x here is equal to negative 30 divided by negative 2. That is equal to, that is right, it's positive 15. So therefore, the value of x here is positive 15. Now the question is, what is the measure of the angle KLS? Well, again, given the angle KLS is equal to 2x plus 5, and since we already have here the value of x, which is equal to 15, then therefore we're going to substitute this to our given expression. So we have here 2, substituting x by 15, we can have 2 times 15 plus 5. 2 times 15 is equal to 30. 30 plus 5 is equal to 35. Therefore, the measure of angle KLS is equal to 35 degrees. Alright? So again, everything here is because of the angle bisector theorem. Alright? So I hope that you have learned our topic for our grade 8. Well, grade 9 topics will be discussed after a short break. Again, this is
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta.
still here in
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alright, Ma'am Gay, so humana tong grade 7 and grade 8 topic. But before tayo proceed sa tong grade 9, well, let us not forget our second attendance marker. The second attendance marker can be seen on the top of your screen. So take note, learners.
Okay, so I guess pinita magpadayon, Ma'am Elvis, sa atong grade 9 mathematics lesson, quarter 3, week 7. So our lesson is all about solving problems involving parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. So you have learned already, learners, that parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites are or belong to the family of quadrilaterals.
Yes.
So bisan unsa pa na nga shapes or figures nga four-sided, they are called quadrilaterals. So quadrilaterals, class, are everywhere, no?
Yes.
So everything from blueprints of homes, doors, windows, swimming pool, boxes, a football ground, paper, etc. is generally made up of such quadrilaterals. So also in electronic devices like mobiles, mobile phones,
TVs.
yes, laptops, computers, and so on. Also, Ma'am LV, in stationery items like, or stationery, is it stationery, whatever, like books, copies, chart papers, and so on. So the list goes countless, learners, as we can't imagine the world without quadrilaterals. So in short, quadrilaterals are very useful. Okay, now let's proceed to our main lesson. We are going to solve problems involving quadrilaterals, specifically parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. Okay, but before that, learners, we have to learn first the properties of the diagonals of special parallelograms para mas mapasayon ato ang pag-solve sa mga problems involving parallelograms. So when we say diagonal, Ma'am LV, it is
A diagonal of a quadrilateral is a segment which connects any two non-consecutive vertices. So
here, yes, in our figure here, we have diagonals EO and diagonal VL. So in a quadrilateral, of course, there are two diagonals yun. Again, when we say diagonals, it is a segment that connects or joins the two opposite vertices. Okay? So what are the following properties of the diagonals of parallelograms? First, Ma'am LV?
the diagonals of a rectangle are
Congruent. Next?
The diagonals of a square are perpendicular.
Yes.
The diagonals of a square are perpendicular, and each diagonal of a square bisects a pair of opposite angles. The diagonals of a rhombus are also perpendicular.
Yes.
And each diagonal of a rhombus bisects a pair of opposite angles.
Yes, so dapat timan-an gyud sa tong learners, Ma'am LV, ang mga properties of the diagonals of special parallelograms. Okay? For, of course, to make things easier, good.
Yes.
Labi na pag-solve sa mga problems.
Guided with the properties.
Yes. So let us start with our first example. So given this figure, so this is a rectangle LOVE or a rectangle LOVE. So if the diagonal LV is equal to 2x, so this diagonal LV, its measure is represented by the expression 2x, and the diagonal OE, or this diagonal OE or EO, is equal to 12 centimeters, the question is, we are going to find, or what is the value of x? So, pila kuno, Ma'am LV, ang value ni x given this information right here sa ato ang rectangle. Okay, again, we have LV 2x and EO 12 centimeters. So, what is the value of x? Now, to find the value of x, class, of course, we have to apply the properties of the diagonals of special parallelograms. You know already that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So, magamit na to na in solving this problem. So, if the diagonals of, so, it is given man that in the properties, the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent, then we can say that the diagonal LV, so this diagonal, is equal to diagonal OE or EO. Okay? So, silbi, mo na ito ang basis sa pag-solve. Mo na itong guide or formula, no? Based po sa property sa diagonals of special parallelograms. Now, substituting or to solve or to find the value of x, we're going to substitute the given values. So, LV is equal to 2x. So, we now have 2x here. So, equals the value of OE, which is equal to 12 centimeters. So, we now have 2x is equal to 12. So, again, our goal is to find the value of x. So, what will we do para mawala ang 2 nga numerical coefficient ni 2x? Of course, we are going to use the division property of equality. Okay, so we now have 2x divided by 2. So, we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. Okay, so we now have 2x divided by 2, and of course, we have 12 divided by 2. Again, we apply the division property of equality to eliminate 2 as the numerical coefficient. So, dapat 1 ang numerical coefficient na x, or si x na lang yun ang mahibili. So, here, simplifying, 2x divided by 2 is equal to x. 2 divided by 1 is 2 divided by 2 is 1 times x is of course x, or you can cancel that out para mas madali. So, we now have x here, and its value is what? 12 divided by 2, that is of course equal to 6. So we now have the value of x, or the value of our unknown, which is equal to 6. Okay? So, bisan pa siguro dili isolve ang LV, no, matamatahon lang sa atong mga learners, that the diagonals man of the parallel or rectangle is congruent, then, unsa man kahay value ni x para i-times ni 2, 12 ang answer.
Yes, because they are congruent. So
they are congruent man. So of course, that would be
that x is 6.
that, yes, x is equal to 6. So I hope na sabtan learners. Anyway, daghan kita example sa tuang or ilang self-learning materials,
Yes.
no? So about solving problems involving parallelograms. Now let us proceed to solving problems involving trapezoid. Okay? So here. Let us have an example. So here, so given this figure, this is trapezoid ABCD. Okay? When we say trapezoid, that is, Ma'am LV?
A convex quadrilateral with exactly one pair of
Parallel sides. So, dili ani news sa atong mga bata or mga learners
Yes.
from LV. We already illustrated or described trapezoids sa atong mga previous lessons or episodes. Okay? So, as you can see, this figure is a trapezoid. So, we have one pair of parallel lines or parallel sides only. We have side DC and side AB. Okay. Now, let us solve this problem. So, ABCD is a trapezoid with median EF. When we say median, that is of course a segment that connects the two midpoints of the two sides of our trapezoid. Okay, again, it is given that EF here is our median. So, again, as you can see, the side DC is equal to x plus 5. And we have here side AB, 4x minus 10. And the median is equal to 2x plus 1. So, unsa may unknown sa itong problem. So, we are asked to find the value of EF. So, pila kaha ang measure ni EF given this information. So, again, si EF, ang value ni EF atong pangitaon. But as you can see, puros expressions ang inyong makita. Right? So, first na itong himon is we have to find first the value of our variable nga involved sa itong expression. So, or in short, find first the value of x. And to find the value of x, we have to have our formula first based sa ito ang lesson last week, Ma'am LV, theorems of trapezoid, that is theorem 6, that the median of a trapezoid is parallel to each base and its measure is 1/2 the sum of the lengths of each of the bases. So again, EF here is the median is equal to 1/2 the sum of DC and AB. So that is our formula, that EF,
that would be our guide.
that will be our guide. Okay, so inanaon man ginato pag solve class, mangita tag pamaagi unsaon. So first ato ag yung pangitaon ug unsa atong mahimo nga formula. Okay. So we have EF, the median is equal to 1/2 the sum of the measures of the bases. 1/2 of the measure of DC, so this side, plus the measure of this side AB. Okay? So, guided na ta karon unsaon pag-solve si EF. but the value of x first. So, substituting the given information here, EF is equal to 2x plus 1. So, we now have 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 of DC is equal to x plus 5, and then plus the measure of AB, which is represented by 4x minus 10. Okay, here. So, simplifying, we're going to simplify the expression first inside the parentheses. So, we now have, copy, 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 of, you combine similar terms, class. So, x plus 4x, that is equal to 5x. And 5 minus 10, that is equal to negative 5. So, we now have 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 of 5x minus 5. After that one is, we have to simplify again. So, we have 2x plus 1 is equal to, you can simplify this, 1/2 times 5x minus 5 is equal to 5x minus 5 over 2. Okay? So, next thing to do is, we can cross-multiply since nata denominator.
Yes.
To eliminate the denominator, class, in solving, you can do cross-multiplication. So, 2x plus 1 here, nagina siya denominator nga 1 para guided ka on saan pag cross-multiply, butangan denominator nga 1. So, doing the cross-multiplication, we now have 2x plus 1 times 2. That is 2 times 2x plus 1. And then, in the right side of the equation, we now have this 5x minus 5 times 1, and that is, of course, 5x minus 5. Alright? So, before doing the transposition method, of course, we have to simplify this first. Kanisa. Using the distributive property, 2 times 2x plus 1, that is 2 times 2x is equal to 4x. And 2 times positive 1, that is equal to positive 2. So, we now have 4x plus 2 is equal to 5x minus 5. Alright? Now, we can do transposition na dayon. We're going to group the terms that containing the variable x. Okay, our goal man is to find the value of x. Now, doing the transposition method, we are going to transpose 5x to the left side of the equation. So, that becomes negative. So, we now have 4x minus, 4x minus, So, diri lang ta magsumpay, class, para di ta
Enough space.
Yes, di ta mahihirapan sa pagsulat. So, we now have 4x minus 5x. Again, we're going to transpose 5x to the left side to group the terms that contains the variable. And then, also, we're going to group the constant terms. So, positive 2, i-transpose ito sa pika side. That becomes negative 2. So, we now have 4x minus 5x is equal to negative 5. You copy that one. Kaya wala man mo transpose. So, positive 2 becomes negative 2. So, simplifying 4x minus 5x, of course, that is negative x. And negative 5 minus 2, that is negative 7. Again, our goal is to find the value of x. So, napatay negative 1, the aring numerical coefficient. So, we have to divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. So, yes. So, our goal is to find positive x, dili kay negative x. So, divide both sides by negative 1. So, we now have this equation. And then, simplifying, so negative 1 is the numerical coefficient of x. So, you can cancel that out. So, x na lang yun ang nahibilin, class. And then, negative 7 divided by negative 1, that would be a positive 7. Okay. So, x here is positive 7. But again, our goal in the problem is, what is the value of EF? EF is represented by the expression 2x plus 1. Now, since we now have 7 as our x, so we have to substitute its value in the expression. So, EF, so finding the value of EF, we now have, so EF is equal to 2x plus 1. And then, since x is equal to 7, so we now have, substituting the value of x to the expression, we now have 2 times 7 plus 1. 2 times 7 is equal to 14 plus 1, that would be 15. And that is the value of the median, the EF. Okay? So that is how to solve problems or problem involving trapezoid. Now let us proceed to the next one, the last but not the least. We're going to solve problems involving kites. Okay? So here, So what do you mean by kite, Ma'am LV?
Okay, so actually we already discussed this one last episode.
Yes.
So when we talk about kite, it is defined as quadrilateral with two pairs of adjacent and congruent sides. So we have to take note that a rhombus where all adjacent sides are equal. It is a special kind of kite.
Okay, so here we now have, here we have a kite, the figure that represents kite, of course. So again, kite is a quadrilateral with two pairs of adjacent and congruent sides. So we have here WO is congruent to WD, and then RO, or this side, is congruent to RD. Now, let us have an example so that we will solve problem involving kite. So, given this figure, the diagonals of a kite have lengths of 13 cm and 9 cm. So, when we say diagonal, asa man diagonals nga makita nato ani nga kite? Of course, we have diagonals OD and WR. So, if WR nato, Ma'am LV, is 13 cm ang iyang measure, and then ang isa ka diagonal, which is OD, 9 cm ang iyang measure, the question is, what is the area of this kite? Okay? Again, ang unknown is the area of this kite given that WR, the diagonal, is 13 cm and the other diagonal is 9 cm. Take note, class, that we already proved this theorem last week. Theorem 11, the area of a kite is half the product of the lengths of its diagonal. So again, ang area ni kite, half sa product of its diagonal. So we can have our formula based on that theorem. So we now have the area of a kite, or area, is equal to 1/2 times
The length of its diagonal.
Okay.
So we have here.
So, we have to create first our formula para guided sa task. So, 1/2 of the measure of OD, so this diagonal, and the
diagonal
measure of WR. So, next is we're going to substitute the given value. So, area is equal to 1/2 of OD. OD here is 9 cm. And then, WR here in the given is 13 cm. Okay. Now, finding the area of this kite, so we now have, we are going to simplify, multiply 1/2 times 9 times 13. So that is equal to 58.5. Don't forget the unit, we're talking of the area, square centimeters.
Yes.
Okay? So, this is the area of this kite given that diagonals, or the measure of diagonals, are 13 cm and 9 cm. Okay? So, that is how to solve problems involving parallelogram, trapezoid, and kite. So, grade 10 math lesson will be discussed after this short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School. And we're back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, so Ma'am Gay, we're done with the 7, grade 8, grade 9 mathematics. So this time, let's have the last, which is the grade 10 mathematics. So our competency for this week is solve problems involving permutations and combinations. Since we already done discussing about or illustrating permutations and combinations, Ma'am Gay, this time let us have solving problems. Actually, sa ilahang learning materials, Ma'am Gay, there are a lot of examples that we have there.
Yes.
But this time, let us, shorter naman atong time, let us have one examples na lang kada isa nila. Okay, so let's start with permutation. Okay, so again, when we talk about permutation, it refers to the different ways of arranging a set of objects in a sequential order, while the combination is wala. So order doesn't matter in combination. Now, to solve for permutations, we have to take note of the formula. So the permutation of n taken r, that is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial. So if we already know the formula in solving for permutations, guided na din tayo, Ma'am Gay. Okay? So here, let us have our example. So in how many ways can 7 boys sit in a row of chairs? So basically, this is a permutation because it is arranged in a row. So the question is, in how many ways can 7 boys sit in a row of 5 chairs? So again, Ma'am Gay, in this formula, the n here is the total number of elements, and the r is the number of elements taken from the overall elements. Okay, so based on our problem that how many ways can 7 boys sit in a row of 5 chairs, then that means we are taking the permutation. So the first example, the permutation of 7, because there are 7 boys, taken 5. So permutation of 7 taken 5, since boys are, we're asking for the ways 7 boys can sit in a row of 5 chairs. So in that case, using our formula, since our n is equal to 7 and our r is equal to 5, therefore we just simply substitute this. We can have here 7 factorial over n, that is equal to 7 minus 5 factorial. Okay, now let's simplify. So let us simplify first. What is inside the parenthesis? 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. So therefore we can have 7 factorial over 2 factorial, because 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. Then simplify. 7 factorial, when we talk about factorial, these are actually the product of all the integers less than the number. Okay, so that means 7 factorial means 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. We could stop here at 2 factorial. Since our denominator is 2 factorial, then therefore we can cancel out later. Okay, then over 2 factorial. Again, nag-stop lang tas 2 factorial because as we can see, there is common for our numerator and denominator. And if there's a common for our numerator and denominator, then we can simply cancel that out. So therefore, we already have here 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. And to simplify, that is equal to 2,520. So therefore, there are 2,520 ways in there 7 boys can sit in a row of 5 chairs. Okay? So again, that is for permutation. But Ma'am Gay, let us consider that in permutations, we also have the distinguishable permutations. So Ma'am Gay, when we talk about distinguishable permutation, these are?
Yes, when we say distinguishable permutations, these are
Problems
related to real-life situations with repeated symbols and restrictions or special conditions. So, in solving distinguishable permutations, I need to consider duplications of elements to make arrangements distinct.
So
Alright?
na magbalik-balik.
Yes,
Okay.
in
And to
short.
solve for distinguishable permutation, then we could use the formula P is equal to n factorial over P factorial times Q factorial times R factorial. Again, our n here is the number of elements. Our P, Q, and R here could be the number of elements na nag-repeat or
Yes.
nagbalik-balik. So let us have another example. So find the number of distinguishable permutation of the digits 1, 2, 0, 0, 2, 2. As you can see here, naagyo digit nga nagbalik-balik. And that is, we have 2, 2 repeated thrice, 0 repeated twice. So, before we're going to solve that using our formula, let us identify first our N, P, Q, and R. So, our N here is again the total number of elements. So, since we have 6 digits here, therefore our N is equal to 6. Next, what could we have here for P? P is the elements nga nagbalik-balik gihapon nag-repeat. So, we could have P here, since 0 repeated twice, then we could have P here equal to 2. And for Q, another element nga nagbalik-balik. So, since 2 is also, 2 repeated thrice, so therefore, we could also let Q be equal to 3. Alright? So, since 1 is, kasara man siya nagbalik-balik, so therefore, we could leave R as variable, wala siya, or 1 ang iyang value. Okay, so now we're ready to substitute this to our given formula. So, again, we are actually looking for the permutation of 6. Okay, so we have here our N is equal to 6, therefore we can have 6 factorial. Over P, we could have 2 factorial times 3 factorial. Okay, again, these are the elements nga na ay repetitions or nag-repeat. Okay, so let us simplify. We could have 6 factorial here. Since we have 3 factorial in the denominator, then we can simplify the 6 factorial as 6 times 5 times 4 and leave it as 3 factorial over 2 factorial times 3 factorial. So that na ay common sa numerator and denominator, then therefore we can cancel out the common 3 factorial. So we now have 6 times 5 times 4 over 2 factorial. 6 times 5 times 4 is equal to 120. So therefore we can have 120 over 2 factorial. 2 factorial means 2 times 1. And 2 times 1, that is equal to 2. So that is 120 over 2. And 120 over 2, or 120 divided by 2 is equal to 60. So therefore, there are 60 ways wherein the digits, permutation of the digits 1, 2, 0, 0, 2, 2. So therefore, there are 60 ways wherein the number of distinguishable permutation of the digit 1, 2, 0, 0, 2, 2. Okay, so that is all about distinguishable permutation. Now let us have the combination. So solving for combinations, again, same thing with the permutations, we are guided with the formula. So our formula for combination is we have here C, that is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial times r factorial. Okay? So again, n here is the total number of elements and r here is the number of elements taken from the total number of elements. Okay, so let us have an example. In how many ways can you choose 2 of 100 playing cards, not considering their order? So that, since not considering their order, pasabot, that is a combination. Okay, so that means in this problem, we are actually looking for the combination of 100 taken 2. So that is, we have here, combination of 100 taken 2. So, using our formula, then we can simply substitute the given values. Our n here is the total number of elements, therefore that is equal to 100 factorial over, again, n is equal to 100 minus r here is the number of elements taken from the total number of elements, so therefore that is equal to 2. So we have here 100 minus 2 factorial times, our r is 2, therefore times 2 factorial. Okay, now let us simplify. 100 factorial, let us simplify first what is inside the denominator. So therefore, we can have 100 factorial over 100 minus 2 is equal to 98. So therefore, in the denominator, we can have 98 factorial times 2 factorial. Okay, now let's simplify. Since we have 98 factorial in the denominator, then we can write the 100 factorial as 100 times 99 times 98 factorial over 98 factorial times 2 factorial. Now, as you can see, we already have here common for the numerator and denominator, and that is 98 factorial. So therefore, we can cancel out 98 factorial. So what is left? We have here 100 times 99. 100 times 99, that is equal to 9,900 over 2 factorial. 2 factorial means 2 times 1. And 2 times 1, that is equal to 2. So we can have 9,900 over 2. And to simplify, 9,900 divided by 2 is equal to, right, it's 4,950. So, therefore, there are 4,950 ways of choosing 2 out of 100 playing cards considering their order. So, again, we have a lot of examples shown on your learning materials for the problems involving combinations and permutations. So, before Tamag say goodbye, Ma'am Gay, let us not forget our third attendance marker. So, our third attendance marker is already on the top of your screen. So, learners, take note. Now, before we end, we would like to thank our executive producer, our superintendent, Sir Gasser Sepe. Thank you so much, sir. And Ma'am Gay.
Yes, and of course, our technical team. So we have here Sir Julio, Sir R.R. Sultan, Sir Abapo, Ma'am Leia, and Sir Saavedra, of course.
Yes. All right. So, see you all again on our next live. This has been Miss El Vinueva.
And of course, Ma'am Gay Soterio Saavedra.
This is
Astral Academy Cyber School. Bye!